Good morning, distinguished leaders, fellow champions of sustainability, visionaries, and my friends. It is an honor and a privilege to stand here before this distinguished gathering at the 7th meeting of the Global Sustainability Alliance. The theme this year, Bridging Policies, Innovation, and Enterprise, is not just timely, it is transformative. And I feel particularly privileged to speak on a subject that is extremely close to my heart and central to my country's future, India at the forefront of sustainability. Let me begin by saying this. When you think of sustainability, you may think of solar panels in deserts, wind turbines on coastlines, electric cars on our streets, or batteries quietly now powering our homes and factories. But when I think of sustainability, I think of India's 1.4 billion people, aspiring, innovating, demanding, and delivering. A population that is not only embracing change, but shaping it, not just in India, but globally as well. And here is the remarkable truth. Even as several nations are losing sight of their sustainability goals, either because of economic compulsions, political shifts, or short-termism, India is leading the way with the vision of clarity, strength of purpose, and scale of action. At the outset, let me place on record our gratitude to the Honorable Prime Minister Modi ji, whose foresight has been nothing short of extraordinary. From announcing India's Panchamrit at COP26, our commitment to net zero by 2070, to setting ambitious goals of 500 gigawatts of renewable energy by 2030, Prime Minister Modi has ensured that sustainability is not just a buzzword, but a national mission. We are really working towards that. Equally, we must thank the Government of India for building the policy scaffolding that allows industry to innovate, investors to trust, and enterprises to scale up. From production-linked incentives in solar manufacturing, to EV mobility, to battery energy storage systems, India's policy landscape is no longer reactive, it is proactive, predictive, and progressive. Above all, I think we must also thank the people of India, because policies and projects succeed only if the people behind it adopt it. Whether it is rooftop solar under the Kusum mission, the surging popularity of electric vehicles, or the enthusiastic embrace of digital energy solutions, Indians are not spectators in this journey, they are active participants. Let us talk specifics one by one. Let's discuss solar. India today has one of the largest solar expansion plans globally. From being import dependent just a few years ago, we now have a massive domestic supply chain where we are not only manufacturing all the modules domestically, but also exporting to large parts of the world. The recent PLI incentives for solar cells, as well as the newly announced missions for wafers and ingots, will not just catalyze billions of dollars of investment, which large Indian companies such as ours are investing in, to meet domestic demand, but also make us one of the largest global suppliers of the solar ecosystem. Solar is no longer just about panels on rooftops. It is about powering the industrial renaissance, creating jobs, creating energy security for our country, and most importantly, powering inclusive growth. If solar has been about the fire of the sun, wind has been about the breath of earth. India has a coastline of over 7,500 kilometers and vast inland wind corridors. Today, India has the fourth largest wind installations globally, and we are steadily moving into becoming global suppliers of wind turbines. Supply chains have deepened in India, and with repowering policies, as well as a very, very proactive domestic content requirement, which has recently been announced for this sector, I feel extremely enthused that wind is not just moving in isolation, but also now in synergy with solar and storage. Wind will play a very, very important role in our country's future. Let me highlight a lesser known fact, which is extremely critical. A lot of us talk about C&I, which is commercial and industrial renewables, and FDRE, which has become a buzzword. FDRE is really firm and dispatchable renewable energy and hybrid projects, a lot of which have been innovated in India. In simple terms, industries and businesses which once depended on fossil fuels are now steadily shifting to renewables, not only for compliance, but for competitiveness. C&I renewables and hybrid renewables are helping companies decarbonize supply chains, cut costs, and enhance resilience. FDRE is even more exciting. The world often complains, and a lot of discoms talk about renewables being intermittent. India is responding with hybrid projects and FDRE, which is solar plus wind plus battery, and in some cases pump storage as well. This ensures firm, round-the-clock power, green power. With this, India is not just adopting global best practices, but is actually setting new benchmarks. Let's also talk about mobility. India is today the largest two-wheeler EV market in the world. Electric three-wheelers are becoming omnipresent across us. Four-wheelers are catching up fast, and our domestic supply chain is ramping up massively, with homegrown companies beating global giants in India. What makes our EV transition remarkable is not just the scale, but also the social inclusivity. For many small entrepreneurs, you'll see delivery agents, drivers and traders, and a lot of the Swiggy and Flipkart parcels which come to our houses every day. EVs are not just eco-friendly, but they're economically viable. That is the real sustainability story, when clean technology is not just a luxury, but an enabler of livelihoods. But the backbone of all of this, wind, solar, hybrids, and EVs, is increasingly going to be battery energy storage systems. I feel proud that we are building the world's largest battery energy chemical complex outside of China in our organization. India has recognized this early. The PLI scheme for advanced chemical chemistry, the development of grid-scale solar projects, and the push for indigenous innovation in lithium-ion alternatives are ensuring that we're not just consuming batteries increasingly, but also creating a very robust domestic supply chain. Think of BESS, battery energy storage systems, as the USB drive of the energy world. It makes renewable energy portable, flexible, and reliable. With India's scale and cost advantages, we're on track to not just be self-sufficient, but globally a global hub for battery energy storage systems. Taken together, solar, wind, storage, hybrids, EV are not just ticking all the boxes. We're building a very comprehensive, interconnected global ecosystem for sustainability. And in doing so, we are championing the cause of climate justice. Because for too long, the narrative had been developed countries grew first, polluted first, and then asked developed nations to cut emissions. I think something which we are very, very familiar with. India is showing that it is possible to grow, industrialize, urbanize, and yet decarbonize. That is why, while several nations are faltering on targets, India is standing tall, not just achieving targets, but beating targets, reminding the world that sustainability is not about sacrifice, it is about strategy. Why is this possible? Because Indian entrepreneurs, innovators, and industrial leaders have embraced this as an opportunity, not a burden. From startups building EV batteries in small towns to large listed players investing billions in renewable assets, the spirit of enterprise in India is alive and kicking. Add to this our digital revolution, the ability to use AI, IoT, smart analytics for digital grids and consumption, and that's where you see why India is so unique. We are not just following policies, we are bridging them with innovation and enterprise. That is the true spirit of this year's themes. Ladies and gentlemen, when I look at the story of sustainability in India, I am filled with hope, because this is not just about energy or environment or economics. It is also about ethics. It is about giving back to the children for cleaner air, our farmers reliable power, our industries a competitive edge, and our planet a fighting chance. India is at the forefront today, but leadership comes with a responsibility. And we are ready to share not just our technologies, but our learnings, our policies, and our entrepreneurial energy with the world, which is very clearly and strongly driven by the Honorable Prime Minister. Let me close with a simple thought. Sustainability is not just a finish line. It is a relay race. Each generation must pass on the baton stronger, faster, and in a cleaner way. India is sprinting ahead, but we are also extending our hand so that together as one global alliance, we can win this race. Thank you.